been a week since we've all gotten together. David Nuño, Raheel Ramzanali, and Raheel, we're going to have to just get into this one because we've got an amazing guest to talk with us. We got a big show with Christian Covington joining us at 1:30, but we're going to start things off with Nate Boyer, the ex-Green Beret, and obviously he's running right now, Merging Vets. And I'm very excited to talk to you, Nate. You've been all over the place recently.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Good to talk to you guys too. I haven't really been all over the place physically. I've been in the same place, but yeah, I think it's been crazy. It's been a crazy week for everybody, man. And a lot of tough stuff to see and experience, but a lot of growth and a lot of really interesting stuff. And our country's in a really interesting place right now. And I think we're gonna keep seeing things move forward and people listening that weren't listening before and minds continue to open and patriotism being displayed in different ways. And yeah, I'm proud of a lot of what's going on right now, to be honest.
Nate, I want to start things off because I think in the last week we've seen kind of different changing narratives out there and the way people are reacting and seeing. Are you kind of optimistic the way the last week has gone for this country? I feel like the veil's been lifted for a lot of Americans. They're starting to see things with a little bit more empathetic view.
Yeah, I mean, I think when they see how many people, feel differently about this subject, but the fact that we can still communicate and have conversations and do things in a respectful manner and just listen to one another. I mean, this is something. A lot of people have been preaching. I myself have been trying to preach for the last 4 years is just listening. It doesn't mean you have to agree. It doesn't mean you have to even fully be able to relate, but we've got to empathize, in the fact that just because someone has a different opinion and feeling about something, it doesn't mean they're just than I do. That doesn't mean they're just automatically wrong or they're evil or they're trying to destroy the country or whatever the hell the narrative is. It's like, it's kind of insane. And I feel like we know better. I mean, we should know better. But it's a golden rule that we were taught in kindergarten, and we're not following it. And for the most part, it's frustrating, but I think more and more, I mean, seeing leadership from around the country, whether it's the sports world or the military world, these high ranking officers that maybe you'd consider and probably have some pretty conservative backgrounds, supporting that freedom of speech and at least like listening, having conversations and saying, all right, if this is done peacefully and it's going to make things better in our nation, it's going to improve policing, it's going to bring us together. Why would we not be for this?
And that's what, 4 years ago, you did the same thing in terms of putting your emotions aside for a second, listening, and then actually getting that bridge of conversation going with Colin Kaepernick. Can you just recap that for people? Because I feel like even though it has been brought up again that, here's the reason why he's kneeling, here's why he decided to kneel, it all stemmed from you listening and then also putting your emotions aside because at first you weren't down with what he was doing, right?
Well, I mean, yeah, and I'm still not like I don't want people to not stand up when the anthem's played. I mean, I don't want that. I love this country and that song and the flag. They're very special to me. They have a special meaning to me because of my time in the military, and how I do feel like it's it can be a uniting moment. But at the same time, like, and when I first saw it with Colin, when I first saw him sitting on the bench, it just hurt me more than anything because I love this place. I want everyone to feel like they count, like they matter, like they do have that true equality and the same opportunity that I have. And I want them to feel the pride that I feel when the anthem's played. We talked a lot about that with Drew Brees this last week. But when you watch that video, something that's important to also recognize is like those feelings that he has when the anthem is played, that swell of emotion and sometimes moving to tears. I feel the exact same thing. You know what I mean? But it doesn't mean that everybody does, and it doesn't mean they're wrong if they don't. So I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight for and try to help our country get to a place where everybody feels that way. And it's never going to be perfect. There's never going to be a situation where all 350 million Americans agree and feel the same way about something. That's just impossible. We have to get past that, right? But we can all put our differences aside and work together for a better country, for a better union, whatever you want to call it, more perfect union. I mean, this is something that's been embedded in our history for a very long time, and it's conversations, man, and it's supporting those that you don't necessarily agree with. We do a great job of it in the military. I mean, we don't always like each other. There's plenty of people out there in the military community right now that are MFing me so bad, and it's just like, hey, I get it. It's their right. And I understand they don't agree with the way I handle things, and they don't think, that maybe I'm the right guy to be speaking out on stuff, and that's fine. I don't speak for the military community, though. I don't speak for the veteran community. I don't speak for the special forces. I speak for myself. And I think just the fact that I'm more than speaking, but that I'm willing to listen and acknowledge and recognize and try to be a part of positive conversation and change. At least for me, that makes me feel like I'm moving in the right direction.
Nate, were you surprised from Roger Goodell this week and how he's kind of done the 180? And I feel like most of the league, and I don't know if you got to see Bill O'Brien's comments earlier this week, but he had some powerful message for his team and America as well. I feel like the NFL's taken a bigger step here in the last few days.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a 180, because I don't think they were like necessarily against this movement. It's just it's complicated and nuanced in the sense of like, there's a lot of bureaucracy involved. You know what I mean? When you look at it, especially from the NFL standpoint, with all the sponsorships and 32 different teams and all this stuff going on, and something that needs to change, something that's been the way that it has been since the beginning of the league is like, all ownership, all the owners are white, all of them. And that's the first place in NFL diversity that needs to adjust, because I don't know what the numbers are, but I'm assuming there's a majority of African American players in the league, or at least close to that. Yet, all ownership is still white, and organizationally it's changing. There's more diversity. There's always obviously like a big push to get more coaches, more people in management that are of color, but we still don't have that in ownership. So like, it takes time for these things to happen, and I think, and I know Roger Goodell, he's a great dude, and he supports a lot of incredible causes. He supports the veteran community, and he does a lot. And he tries. His job is not that easy. It's not simple, and he's not perfect. You know what I mean? I don't agree with everything that he's ever said and done. But I think that when they've seen as well, just the groundswell that has occurred over the last 10 days, you know what I mean, or whatever you want to call it, whatever it's been. It's crazy, the amount of people supporting this movement, the amount of people that are out in the streets. And, I don't think being locked up for a couple of months helped the situation. People are going nuts, stuck inside their house. And this was an opportunity to not only be a part of something big and be a part of a movement, but, get the hell outside. So anyway, I think all those things have affected this, and it's good. It's good that they're listening, and I'm not going to fault them that it's because it's taken a bit of time. And but I don't think they were all like against Black Lives Matter or anything like that before this. It was just, it's tough to show that vocal support when it's such a polarizing issue and you're running a big organization such as the NFL.
So in 2016, when it happens, was it frustrating for you in terms of, you told Colin what to do in terms of, hey, look, this is coming from a place of respect. If you're going to do it, then the message gets, it was hijacked almost in terms of, it started blending into, well, hey, he's against the military because he's not standing for the anthem. But then you hear Colin talk about it, and he's saying, look, I'm doing this because of police brutality. Was it frustrating watching from the outside in that the message was being lost back then? And then again, as we mentioned this week, it was as well. But now, people are taking the time to dig a little bit deeper and understand why this is happening. Was it frustrating at the time, though?
Yeah, it's still frustrating, man. I mean, we live in a bite-sized world. It's like everything is 10 seconds, and we look at an image and read a headline and we just make a decision about the whole issue, and we don't read and we don't know. And there's still millions and millions of people that think I reached out to Colin and told him to protest or something. You know what I mean? Like, they just have it so twisted. That's just the world we live in right now, though, and it sucks, man. But I think more people are listening. More people are actually doing some research and reading, and not just being so freaking reactive and emotional to an image. You know, I mean, it's just, and that goes for everybody. It's mostly people on the fringes. It's mostly the people on the far right and far left that I've experienced, because it's like, does this image or does this headline support my narrative or not? And if it does, I'll share it everywhere without reading the article and say, look at this, this Green Beret supports, or is protesting, is taking a knee or whatever. I mean, and I'm like, no, I'm not. What are you talking about? Or the complete opposite. Oh, this guy's a traitor to our country and he hates America because he stood next to Colin. I'm just like, what are you talking about? And it's just we're so binary. It's kind of disgusting. And I hope more than anything that we can get rid of that. We can move out of that, because until that happens, we're just not going to move forward in general. As a nation, it's going to be really hard to get people that want to wear that police uniform. First of all, that's got to happen. We've got to have the right people in that job. We've got to honor that the difficulty in that job, right? But we also have to fix what's wrong, and we have to weed out the weeds. Simple as that. And it's going to take time, and it's going to take a lot of people on board and hard work. It's just not as simple as these broad strokes of oh, all the cops are bad, because if there's a couple that are making a mistake and not all of them are against it, then they're all evil. And it's dumb. It's broad strokes and generalizations and stereotypes are just, they've got to all go.
Nate, what's the last time you talked to Cap?
Oh, it's been a long time, man. Probably 2 years, something like that. 2.5 years, maybe. I mean, he's got a lot going on. He's got his own thing going, and there's no bad blood or anything like that. We just definitely different paths for sure. You know what I mean? But yeah, solid dude.
Cool. What did it mean for you to see all the protests against racial injustice going on? It wasn't in just one city; it was across so many cities, and the diversity of the protests as well. What did that mean to see this past week for you?
It's been pretty amazing. I mean, I just look at the aerial images in Philadelphia from, I think that was yesterday. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, it looked like a Super Bowl parade.
It did. At least, yeah, it was nuts. So no, that's been really cool. That's been really, really, really cool. I mean, I'm always weary though too. And this is just me. I'm a pessimist in some ways, and I'm sorry, but that's just who I am. But I know there's a lot of people out there that feel like it's the cool thing to do as well, right? And there's a lot of people doing it out of obligation, and it's just oh, now that now they'll say that they've always stood for this and blah blah blah, and I'm like, I just don't buy it. So for me, I'm proud of the people that have been sort of strong from the beginning and stood up and definitely stayed courageous throughout these last 4 years when they got ridiculed and vilified. And now we're seeing that shift in a big way. So I'm just I'm also cautious because I don't want to see this thing completely shift into this, the flip narrative where it's you feel as a white person, you can't speak out on anything, you know what I mean? And you can't have freedom of expression as well. I don't want to live in a world where anybody's got to walk around on eggshells all the time because we're worried about, getting painted a certain way. And, I know people of color have had to live that way for a long, long, long time. And, I'm not saying that it wouldn't be fair if white people had to experience that for a while, but that's not the point. I just want to get to a place where we're able to all freely express respectfully and, and support one another and just make this place better, make it safer. We need police officers, man. We need good ones, and we need a lot more of them to look like the people in those communities, cops that are from those communities. I mean, that's what I want to see more of. That there's no doubt that reform needs to happen, big time. I mean, we've seen countless videos of this stuff, and it's enough to make you sick, and we can't stand for it. We can't stand for it, but we can't just say F it and expect it to just change without us all being part of that process.
Nate, last thing for you. Do you feel that it is going to change? Because we've had these dialogues before. I don't think it's been recent this much that the country has been at this point. But do you think 6 months, a year from now, we're going to start feeling that change?
Yeah, I think we already are. But absolutely. No, I think absolutely. And it's like, I would imagine after, slavery was abolished. Well, not I would imagine. I know it's not like racism was abolished and everything just ended and everything was just cool, right? And then when you look at the civil rights movement, and it's like, the segregation, once that sort of ended, it didn't mean everything. It doesn't mean everything's just all of a sudden equal now and fair. And it's like, well, we got past that. See, like you're the same as us now. It's like same with this situation. Like it's going to take time, but this week has been huge. It has been a dramatic shift in a lot of ways, and just to see the amount of support. I think a lot of people thought that the Black Lives Matter movement and just I hate putting labels on this movement because I think it's just an important thing for us to just have equality, to just strive for it anyway. But to see how much support, how many people, at least voicing, and then you see so many in the streets, and I don't want to. I want to. Cut out there. You guys still with me?
Yeah, we're here. You can hear us?
Cool. Yeah, it was weird. I got like feedback from something.
So before we let you go, I know it was the last question, but it would be wrong if we didn't ask you what you're doing with merging vets and players. You and Jay Glazer started this. A lot of cool things going on. Tell us a little bit about the organization.
Yeah, so we bring together combat vets and former professional athletes and help them find purpose and service after the uniform comes off. Some of the greatest leaders in our country, and we're seeing that right now during this time are pro athletes and people from the veteran community. And it's a common struggle through that transition back to civilian life, quote unquote. And granted, I would never compare war to playing a game, but the locker rooms are the same. I can attest to that. And what we go through is the same, and that brotherhood and that identity with the uniform and structure and purpose, all that. So we help each other. We help each other grow. We help each other through that struggle, and but we empower each other. Build each other up, and we're going to open a chapter here in Dallas soon. We've got one in Los Angeles. We've got it in Vegas, and Chicago, New York, and Atlanta. And Seattle's on the horizon. Of course, we want to be in Houston. I mean, we want to be in every major sports city, and then beyond that, eventually as well. And we'll train in the gym for about half hour, and then after that, we'll hang out, and it's just peer-to-peer counseling, man. We just talk through stuff. It's an open forum. There's a lot of cursing. It's very much like a locker room. It's very raw and authentic. It's
as it should be.
Not anything corny.
That's awesome. Do you remember the physical test for becoming a Green Beret, like the requirements?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
you do? Okay. Drop it. I just want to see if David or I could pass those.
Well, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, drop it.
Tough, man.
Yeah. What were they? Was it like a 2-mile run?
It's 2 years long. No.
No. I'm talking about the
2
actual
mile run.
The physical test that you have to take to.
That's just for the Army.
Just for the Army. What is it?
So just the Army PT test is a 2-mile run, 2 minutes of push-ups, 2 minutes of sit-ups. I think that's it. And you got to hit time standards and number standards for that. You can handle that maybe. But special forces training, man, it's another level, dude. It's it's hard. And just to be in the infantry is very, very hard. I mean, the amount of miles you got to put on your back with heavy rucksacks, and you got full kit, and you're carrying a weapon, and it's tough. You could do it. I mean, if you want to do it, anybody's capable. If you really want it, you just got to be able to, withstand and not quit, and have that type of determination.
I can't believe Raheel just dissed you here on our show, Nate. I apologize. I
No.
mean, 2 miles,
Nah, he didn't.
Green
Dude, the
Beret.
run. I think I can do the run, but not in boots. See, that's going to be an issue. I'm spoiled. I want the Nikes. Okay.
Right, there you go. Yeah.
Hey,
They
man,
have Nike boots. They have Nike combat boots. It's
No
a thing.
way. Nice.
Yep. Comfortable.
Nate, we appreciate your time, man. I know you've been super busy. Thanks so much for making a few minutes for us, and we hope to catch up with you down the road, my friend.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. There you go, Nate Boyer, emerging vets and players, and Raheel, very powerful. And it's funny, man. Like we typically talk sports, entertainment, pop culture. We mix in the news, but obviously this is the most pressing topic in our country. And it's funny. I shouldn't do this during the show, but I'm reading some of the comments on the side on the Facebook page, and just how politicized and how people feel so strong either way, and upset about the dialogue and upset about this and that. Look, we are talking about what is happening out here, and we have dear friends who have been impacted from this. And look, we're going to clown around a little bit on this show because that's what we've always done. But we're also going to try to talk about things that we think is important to our base. So regardless of where you stand, I mean, look, I'm about empathy and seeing things through other people's eyes, because people don't know what it's been like to walk through my parents' shoes and my shoes. And certainly I don't know what it is to live in your shoes, Raheel.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing is empathy. You have to empathize with your fellow man. Okay, you need to go have talks with them to learn about their journey. That's how you start overcoming some of these issues on a personal level, right? If we as an individual can make the world a better place through communication, through empathy, imagine if everyone did it, right? And look, it's a very optimistic point of view, and that's how I am. Nate said by nature he's a little bit more pessimistic. I'm more optimistic, and I truly believe that you start talking to one another, go learn about one another, and see what your paths have been, and start talking. Then you realize that, man, we are similar than different, and that's been one of the big things that I try to practice in my life. The other thing this past week, it was beautiful to see the NFL and Roger Goodell specifically make a statement and admit that they were wrong. Although they didn't say Colin Kaepernick's name, they didn't apologize to him. And look, there was lawsuits involved as well with that. They did, address that, hey, we were wrong. And that is a sign of change. That is a good thing. When Drew Brees made his comments earlier in the week and the next day apologized, my initial reaction was, oh, why did you apologize? You should just double down on this if that's how you feel. But then one of my friends, I do a podcast called The Raheel Show. You can listen to that episode. It's Eric Layden. He talked me through it, and he said, isn't the whole point of this, in terms of on an individual level, we want to talk and change, right? We want to see that, okay, I was wrong, and I admit I'm wrong. You can't destroy somebody for admitting that they were wrong. And I think that's also happening. And then, David, social media amplifies all of that.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Social media is beautiful and terrible. It's both.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, it is amazing how we can be so connected because of the World Wide Web, right? And the ability to social media. We can connect with anybody around the world. That part is beautiful. That connection also shows some of the nice sides and the terrible sides of people. I don't know, man. It's just been an interesting time. 2020 has been a ridiculous year. I mean, just everything, freaking hurricane season's here now. Like, there's so many different things that are going on. And, Orlando said he's going to boycott the NFL. And, people have this year has just been so, I don't know. It's, COVID-19 has got everybody at home, and, Texas is opening up, but there's so many different things going on, and there's frustration out there. There's a lot of frustration out there.
Yeah. And one of the things that we talked about, off air, we didn't talk about it on the show yet, but one of the big things was as well that, man, with everyone at home, the frustration level of the pandemic, of seeing what happened to George Floyd, hit that stuff, and then to see the reaction from Minneapolis, you're like, come on. the frustration just boiled up, and this is what happens. And hopefully we do change from all this. That's the biggest thing, is can we change? And I'm excited to see that change.
All right, so he's a little early, which I'm not used to. NFL players actually NFL players do show up early. I know how that is, but our good buddy now with the Denver Broncos, Christian Covington, joining us here on the show. What's up, Christian?
What's good with y'all? How y'all doing?
Hey,
Doing
man.
all right, man.
So, look, a couple things. We got some real business to get into, but we've been on the stream for the last half hour, and it's been very powerful seeing some of the messages on Facebook and seeing how people are reacting. So we kind of want to break the ice a little bit, Christian, and have some fun to start, and then we're going to get into some news. Are you cool with that?
That's fine with me.
Okay, so we do a thing called the same 5 questions. We ask every guest the same 5 questions, all right? So we'll start it up. Number one, what is one song you wish everybody would listen to at least once in their life?
Return of the Mac, Mark Morrison.
Okay. I wasn't expecting that. That's good.
Christian, can you hit the opening? Can you hit the opening note for me?
But I try to tell. I don't even know. Hey, all I know is if you don't know that song, you gotta look it up. That's all I know. That's the song that's gonna be playing at my wedding.
Nice. There you go. What's one thing that you always have to have in your fridge?
Oh, milk.
What kind of milk?
Oh, skim.
Skim milk. Yo, have you tried Mootopia from HEB?
Oh,
Mootopia is the truth.
They got that chocolate milk too, huh?
Yeah.
Protein.
Lactose free, protein, more protein. All right.
Yeah. No, I do the what's it called? I do some type. I do like that Fairlife protein milk. Yeah,
Fairlife. With the extra omegas.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Gotta have that. Gotta have the extra omegas. Gotta have the extra calcium, that extra protein, and have the sugar. Why not?
There you go. What's one place you want to visit that you haven't yet?
Israel.
Okay.
Yeah, I want to go.
Are you planning one out? Hopefully, a trip there.
Hopefully, hopefully in the next few years, I want to do a little, pilgrimage, with my family to, walk where Jesus walked.
Okay. Who's one person alive that you want to meet and have coffee with?
That's a hard one.
We only ask the hard questions here.
Shoot, that's a hard one. Let's go. That is mind-boggling. Hey, I'm gonna go with Jordan Peele.
Okay.
Jordan Peele, nice.
Yeah.
First one for Jordan Peele.
I love to tap in and see, his creative process with how he just comes up with all of his genius work, honestly.
All right, last one. What's one app that you want to delete from your phone, but you just can't?
Twitter.
What's your Twitter experience like as a pro athlete?
Hit and miss. I really have it just because of the fact that it's a platform that I'm able to reach out on and have being an athlete. But with that being said, it's just much like the world, it can get real toxic really real fast. So it's just one of those things that I know it's actually I've had this discussion with family because had to delete the Facebook. Obviously that was like years ago, and then once my playing days are over, that's like honestly going to be like the first app to go because I'm just like after that I'm just like I'm good.
Christian, man, it's been an interesting year without you in the Texans locker room because I have 2 guys that I go to all the time to talk superheroes with, right? I got you and Whit. We didn't get to talk about the Joker. We didn't get to talk about anything, man. So
anything.
So are you excited about any movies that are maybe going to come out next year because everything's been put on delay?
Man, I've been praying, man. I really have been. I really, some things have been opening up. Normalcy is coming back to somewhat. But when I'm not gonna lie, when the MCU pushed back the Phase 4, my heart broke a little bit. It really did. But I'm really looking forward to. I can't wait to see Black Widow because obviously that's gonna be the next step to see what Marvel has in store for us. I think the news. I don't know if the news is 100. I think it's been confirmed, but like the news that Henry Cavill returning as Superman, I feel like that needed to be announced years ago. Obviously, like that whole beef between the studio and him needed to end a long time ago because in my mind that guy is the epitome of what Superman is, and he should be like the guy leading the resurrection of what DC is. But other than that, no, there's a lot of stuff coming up, and I'm really, me, I'm a Marvel guy, so everything Marvel, I think it's going to be, amazing to see like how they head in this new direction, post Robert Downey Jr. So we'll see
Now,
how that goes.
but the funny thing is, all three of us here, we all believe that the Dark Knight trilogy is the greatest trilogy ever. And I don't know about you, but I know for David and I that the Dark Knight is a top 3 movie of all time. I actually
Absolutely.
went back. I went back and rewatched it last weekend because I saw the Dark Knight walking in the Pittsburgh protest. I don't know if you guys saw that
Yeah.
clip on the
Oh yeah.
on social media.
I've been seeing a lot of Batmans out there.
Dude, and then Spider-Man was in Brooklyn, on the Brooklyn Bridge. Spider-Man is hanging there. Like, it's just been fascinating to watch. But I went back and watched The Dark Knight. Man, that movie, you have to like pause every 10 minutes and just digest how good it is.
Yeah.
And there's so many great quotes and the writing is so perfect. It's phenomenal to go back and rewatch. And I've watched it probably 100 times.
Yeah, that's Christopher Nolan for you, man. I
Yep.
love all of his work, and with what he did with that trilogy, there's a reason why it's my favorite trilogy of all time, and it's another reason why it's like, now I can't wait to go see Tenet now whenever that comes out, because that one looks just mind-boggling. If everybody is still confused about whatever Inception was about, oh yeah, you're not ready for this next movie.
Hey, one last little superhero tidbit before we get into some of the stuff going on in the world. I actually think, and I'm the only person maybe in the world, Batman Begins is my favorite of the three. I love The Dark Knight,
Okay.
but like, Batman having to take the fall for Harvey Dent is always kind of like, why, dude? Just put him in jail. He's the bad guy. The city will get over it. Trust me. You don't. But I love the origin story, and that's why I like. But they're all, even The Dark Knight Rises, which had some plot holes, still great.
Yes.
All three.
Oh, still great. Oh, still
Yeah.
great. Love Tom Hardy with what he did.
Hey, so Christian, let's talk a little bit about what's going on in the world, man. I told Nate Boyer earlier, I almost feel a little encouraged that the dialogues are happening. How do you feel we've gone in the last 13, 14 days to where we are now? And do you see progress?
I see progress. I really do. I see us talking about it more. I see us actually, a lot of people opening up and listening to what's going on in the world, listening to experiences that, men and women of color have had to go through that maybe they haven't had to go through. I'm seeing, I'm so encouraged by the fact that you're seeing this occurring throughout the world, not just here in the United States, but one of my best friends is in Germany, and she was just at a march yesterday in Berlin. A couple of my other friends are overseas, and they're like taking part in the marches. And just to see that unity, that it's not a black and white issue, to see that it's a human rights issue with regards to, everybody versus racism, everybody against hate, everybody against oppression, systemic oppression. That's a beautiful thing to witness, honestly.
When you were at the protest, what was the feeling like in terms of your emotions when you got there, when the march actually started, you started looking at the crowd? What was that like for you?
Yeah. So, I went to the memorial, the protest service with regards to Breonna Taylor. So that was, this past Friday. And the one word I have to say is unity, just because it didn't matter, the diversity of the people that were just in attendance. Didn't matter the ethnicity, didn't matter your race, didn't matter your color, the color of your skin. To see everybody out there as one unified body was breathtaking. To be able to witness that and to see that many people come together for all in the name of change, all in the name of condemning, evil, racism, and hate. And really, that's what we're living in a time right now where that just needs to be happening a lot sooner than later. That needs to be happening right now. The voices need to be heard, and stories need to be listened to, and change needs to happen.
Christian, I know you're a man of faith, and we were joking earlier about social media, but you really like to put positivity when you're tweeting about this topic or anything, really. Just talk about the mindset of having more of a positive outlook, especially when dealing with this situation America's in.
Yeah, with me, I just personally, I have to take everything biblically. I have to take everything scripturally. And with a subject matter such as this is a perfect example for people. And again, It doesn't matter your faith. It doesn't matter your background with how you were brought up. I'm speaking out of the heart with how I was raised. It's just it's a time where you truly see who is this right now is a time where you truly see the true colors of people out in this world, and you truly see if those who are talking the talk are truly walking the walk. And for me as a Christian, I'm just gonna look. I always just look in the New Testament. I look at what Jesus talked about. Really the summary of the law of the old laws, the summary of the Bible can be said with the two laws that Jesus talked about. First law being love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, all your strength. And the second law, equally as powerful, is love thy neighbor as thyself. Jesus said, that sums up everything. That sums up the laws of old. And I'm just like, to me, how can you not just, love your brother, love your sister right next to you? How can you not just understand, that there's hurting going on in this world, that there's truly evil people out there. There are truly people that, want to do nothing but, the wrong things in life. And how could you, as a person of faith, or as a decent human being, how could your heart not reach out to that person? How can you not sympathize with that person, or begin to even try to understand what that person is going through and what they've gone through? Maybe try to listen to, maybe what is so different about their life and their experiences that maybe will have me change my heart and have me change my perspective in life and how I walk about in the future. So that's how I look at it, man. Especially with something like this. It's this is a good versus evil thing right now. This is everybody versus hate, everybody versus racism, everybody versus oppression. I'm gonna keep saying that because we're all in this together. People of color, white people, myself included. I'm mixed myself. My dad's black, my mom's white. My mom is right there, with my dad with the fight against everything, because she's seen it firsthand as well. So I know it's amazing to see. I'm going to throw that word unity around again, because it's amazing to truly see this many people of different backgrounds and ethnicities coming together, because we're all in this together. If you have a friend who happens to be a person of color, this is as just, or if you have friends of people of color, different backgrounds, ethnicities, religions, races, and who you consider friends, you consider family, this is just as much your fight as it is theirs.
It's so funny that we forget that simple lesson of love everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Try, and we were talking before you joined us, to empathize with other people, right?
Yes.
And I've said this before on my podcast that, why does this mean so much to me? It's because it's not fair that other people don't have the opportunities that I was afforded, right?
Yes.
And me being an immigrant to this country, I want that for everybody here. It's not fair, and that's why this is so important, and it's why I try to love everyone and put that energy out there. But it's so funny that we forget that sometimes, that simple lesson that we learn as kids. Like, I'm teaching that to my daughter. David, you're teaching that to your kids. It's just love everyone,
Exactly. It's that
we're
simple.
We're all in this together.
It's truly that simple. And as you kind of pointed out right there, it's like, if you had, people always forget, when speaking biblically, everybody wants to always talk about, having the faith the size of a mustard seed, but really having that childlike faith is something else, honestly, because Jesus always refers to the kids, and Jesus always refers to the children as they have the greatest faith with everything around them during his time than even the wisest of men and women during that time. So it's just, you can apply to that today. It's like, no one is born racist. No one is born with hate in their heart. It is taught. It is brought up in the homes. It is brought up in the culture. It is brought up in the communities. And to me, that's just like the simplest. That it starts right there. It starts with what you learn at home, who you hang around with, who you associate with, and the phrase of birds of a feather flock together. That goes with that. It goes hand in hand with that. It's just so this is a good start with everything going on, but we got to change hearts. We got to change the mindset of a lot of people and a lot of communities.
Christian, kind of switching gears a little bit. COVID-19 is still obviously huge. But Texas has gotten almost back to normal. I don't know if back to normal is the right word, but the new normal.
Mm-hmm.
How confident and how optimistic are you for this upcoming NFL season?
I'm confident, honestly. as you just said, it's a new normal that we're gonna have to get used to. Things are starting to open up, but with that being said, my family and we still haven't really gone to restaurants like that. We're still supporting local businesses. We're still, having, meals taken out. We're still doing home cooked meals, but we're still trying to help out as much as we can. But it's, as you said, it's going to be an adjustment period to this new normal. And that's definitely what's going to happen with this upcoming football season. We don't know the full details of everything going on, but I have confidence that something will be given in the near future, that some type of plan will be put in place as to what the season will potentially look like. If we have no fans in the stands, so be it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's I feel like a majority of people need sports in their lives right now. I feel like a majority of people would rather have sports here with zero fans than no sports at all. So if we could just do it with the right, taking the right precautions, making sure players, teams, staff, personnel gets tested. With the amount that, whatever the regulation is going to be required with regards to moving forward. I don't see why it's not possible, man. I have all the faith in the world, and I hope it can, because I know, hey, just as much as the fans and people want to see football again, so do the players.
Now, how many Zoom meetings are you on with the team every single day?
Ooh, a lot.
Yeah.
a lot.
Your battery must be drained.
Yeah, man. The screen fatigue is real, and that doesn't just apply to us. It applies to all. It applies to just everybody, man. It's crazy how you take away, you take away, being able to, go outside and hang out with people and go to restaurants and go to the movie theater. And it's just like, it's so crazy how you take that away, and you truly just see how, blessed we all are with, being able to unplug ourselves from the virtual world and being able to unplug ourselves from social media. Because I feel like now more than ever, it's, this is a time where, I mean, you're seeing it right now. There's a lot of frustration in the world right now. There's a lot of frustration with everything going on. And I don't know. I think a lot of people reach their breaking point, but I mean, obviously we still want to do the right things to be able to stay safe and keep up with the guidelines to make sure that, we flatten this curve and continue to do so.
Christian, the last couple of years, I've met up with you at the Southwest Indoor Soccer Center. I know that you have a lot of philanthropy that you're involved in. Sunshine Kids, you've been involved with in the past as well. Just talk a little bit about that and how you've always been a guy, no matter when you're a rookie or a player at Rice, you've always loved to give back.
No, my parents said it best: is when you've been blessed, you have to be a blessing to others. And it hurt my heart to not be able to do my football camp this year with Sunshine Kids. Instead we were able to do like a little virtual Zoom bingo night. So that was great to be able to hang out and see the kids and see some good friends over there with Sunshine Kids. But that's just that's who I am, man. It's who us players have to be. We are given obviously we've earned the right to be where we are. But at the same time, it is a blessing to be in my position. It is a blessing to play in the NFL. And with that being said, we have to be a blessing unto others. And that if that means giving of our time, giving of our money, giving of donations, giving of love, giving of support, whatever the case may be, it's a must as an athlete, as a person, with a platform. And doesn't matter just because I'm an athlete. It can be athletes, it could be businessmen. It could be doctors, lawyers, nurses, everybody who fits and has a platform to be able to serve. That's what they're doing. And they're doing it to the best of their abilities, for themselves, for their families, and for their communities as well.
That's beautiful, man. That's the energy we need in this world, man. And that's good to hear. For you, your workouts going okay under the circumstances that we're in?
Yeah. A couple in the beginning, it was a couple home workouts here and there. But no, my training has actually I've been blessed to be able to keep up this entire time. So I've been, my trainer, he really likes to do a lot of one-on-one work, and the social distancing has been a huge part of it as well. So when he technically qualified as like an essential service because of the fact that he owns a rehab facility. So to be able to continue on with that training, I'm blessed to be able to say I haven't skipped a beat. So I'm going to be ready for this. I'm going to be ready for this upcoming season.
Nice. Yeah. No quarantine 15 for you.
No, I've lost weight. Thank God.
Christian, I got to tell you, man, we miss you here in Houston. You've always been great to deal with. I love your heart. I love your passion. And thank you so much for spending a few minutes with me, man.
Nah, man, thank you. The pleasure's all mine. Good to see you, brother.
Good seeing you guys.
All right,
We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, man.
All right.
Christian Covington, man. You cut him off. He was saying bye.
I know, my bad. I was quick on the trigger there. My fault.
Oh, I love that dude. He's it's funny, like there's certain guys you can just talk with, and certain guys that hey, you need an appointment. Like it's just how it is. And with Covington or Christian, he was always so easy to talk to. I mean, we would literally talk like Wit, Cov, sometimes Bernard McKinney, just talking superheroes. The Mandalorian last year was a topic. Like it's just good conversations to get to know people away from just the X's and O's. And he's always been so great to deal with. But it's Raheel, we don't usually do these like serious type shows. But this is where our country is right now, right? And that's why we're having discussions about what's going on.
Absolutely. We got to have discussions. We have to talk. We have to learn from each other. We have to understand each other's journey. And if those of you that are still listening or watching, if you want, I talked to a UFC fighter, a former UFC fighter from the city of Houston, Juan Adams. He's a professional MMA fighter. He's fighting with another organization now, but he wrote this beautiful letter about, racial injustice and the 3 ways that he thinks that we can eventually get to a point of change. And just talking to him, understanding, his point of view, being a black man in America today. And it was a beautiful conversation. So we need more of those. We need more conversation. We need to listen a little bit more as well. And then again, as I said, on a personal level, go talk to everyone. Go learn about other people. Go learn about their journey, and you can start impacting the world as well.
Yeah, just too much anger in this world, man, and too much anger and social media and everywhere. And like this, it doesn't have to be a politicized thing. This is just a conversation, trying to hear people's points of view. My parents immigrated to this country as well, and they had a difficult time, and nobody you can't live somebody else's shoes. You can't live in their shoes, right? So take the time to listen to what people is in their heart, what they're talking about. Any sports things we want to get in? I know we got like a minute or two left. Conor McGregor retiring, that kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah, same here. After the UFC last night, he announced that he's done, and he had an interview with Ariel Helwani of ESPN, and he said he's just tired of the fight game. Like, it doesn't excite him anymore. And maybe this is a ploy. Maybe this is a way to get more money, whether it be with the UFC or another super fight in the boxing world. We're not sure, because John Jones as well, he's done with the UFC because he didn't get enough money, but maybe that's a ploy to get, it's just negotiations to get more money. But, hey, man, say what you want about Conor as a fighter and what happened with Khabib, but that dude brought excitement to the UFC and just made the fight bigger than a fight. It was a spectacle, and that's what you want. That's what you want, honestly.
Up, man.
Yeah, the Aldo knockout was the pivotal moment for me, where it went from where UFC fans knew about him and they knew about his antics and all that to the mainstream. Like, that's where it transitioned.
Just a couple months ago, the fight with Cowboy. I mean, how long did it last? 35 seconds? A minute? Yep. I don't even know how long it lasted. I mean, and Cowboy, one of the most decorated UFC fighters of all time. I don't follow it the way you do, but I love Conor documentaries. I watch Conor stuff on YouTube. He's very polarizing. There's things about him that disgust me, and there's things that I love about him, but he's somebody you have to watch. Yeah. I wish he had a little bit more in him.
I'm sorry. One last thing, you hit on this all week long. Baseball, by the way, I don't think we're getting a season. I don't think it's going to happen, man. We're already past the July 4th deadline because it's going to take a month to ramp things up. So they're not coming back July 4th. Are you going to come back in August and then you can't take the season in to October, November, past what you normally do with the World Series because it gets too cold. And even if you're at remote sites, like, how's that going to work out that late? Because then you're starting to gear up for other things like the NFL, college football.
Right. Now, this is what you do. I got 2 thoughts. First thing you do, you just replay the World Series from 2019. And this time, the Astros take the trophy. That's the first thing you do. the second thing is like, what's going to happen to Mookie Betts? Okay, what's going to happen with that deal? And Springer, right? But Springer's played and won a championship in Houston.
Yep.
Mookie gets traded for, I believe, a huge deal. May never play a game with the Dodgers.
Yeah, and what happens to them? You're
It's
right,
like,
and then the suspensions too. By the way, like
Right.
AJ Hinch, he can come back next year. If there's no season, it still counts as your suspension.
it's just, and look, I the only part that has been okay about COVID is it silenced the cheating talk. But does that just pick up with the same steam once they start playing again?
No, it won't, because there's no fans. There's going to be limited fans, right? If there are any fans, if they decide to play at a remote site, who's going to be talking trash to them? Nobody.
Well, not during the game, but social media is gonna. I mean, that's all Dodger and Yankee fans do is talk about the Astros.
Yeah, that's all they do. So all the players have to do is just not get on Twitter and not check their comments, right? And they're good. Like, you're not going to hear any feedback.
No, it's look. I said this yesterday. We have a show, a 9:00 show, and the thing that I fear if you're Major League Baseball, look, Major League Baseball's had a pretty good few years, right? But I'm not saying the MLS is going to catch them, because the MLS is far from catching Major League Baseball. But the NBA and MLB in years have gone back and forth, like which is really the second. I mean, a work stoppage for whatever reason, and maybe it's a good reason, maybe it's not, is going to hurt the league, just like it hurt him in '94. And there's no Sammy and Maguire coming out to save you this time, right? By the way, which is the 30 for 30 tonight? Is it Bruce Lee tonight?
Tonight is, yeah. Was it? What's the title? Like Water?
Something like, yeah. That's it. Yeah, I'm gonna watch that.
That's the new. I still haven't watched the Lance Armstrong one. I have it recorded, ready to go. But I just haven't. I haven't had the interest to watch it because I was on such a high from the Last Dance. I was like, there's no other documentary that's ever gonna live up to this. So I need to catch up.
That's the problem. So I watched, I'd say 85% of that documentary, the Lance Armstrong documentary. It's pretty good. It's really.
It looks really great,
good, right?
Seems like a great guy, by the way.
Really good. But after watching The Last Dance, nothing is good, right?
Nothing.
Like here's the bar, and here is, and I wish it's not that I wish they would have reversed it, but had they reversed the order, each one would have been like, oh, that was great. Oh, now we got Bruce Lee. Now we got Sammy and Maguire, and then the Bulls. Yeah. So, hey, so I got a TV thing to get ready for, Raheel. We've gone almost an hour. A really good conversation. Probably made some new fans. Probably lost some fans doing it. Friends. How about friends? Because we don't really have fans. But it's been it's been an experience.
Absolutely. And if you guys want to hear the audio side of this, if you want to share it with your friends, please do share it on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you're watching. But you can also find the audio side on your podcast app. Just look for The Raheel Show, and I'll put it up here in the next hour or so. So if you want to share this with people, please feel free to. But that was fun to talk to Nate and Christian on a Sunday. That was nice.
That was nice, man. Well, good job. Listen to Raheel's podcast. Watch me on 13, and fight the power. Have fun. Be safe, and let's just get on the same page, everybody. You can say bye, Raheel.
Bye.